Imagine your body is a little city. The building needs repair, the roads need fixing, and the people need good food. Today we will learn one of the foods that helps build that city, or sometimes causes trouble, called gluten. By the end, you will learn how gluten can help you live longer and when it can cause trouble. Gluten is a protein, and proteins are like tiny building blocks that make muscles, skin, and even enzymes in our body. Gluten lives in wheat, barley, and rye. Think of gluten as the stretchy glue that holds the dough together. That's why bread is chewy and cakes don't crumble apart. When bakers mix flour and water, something magical happens. Two proteins, that's gliadin and glutenin, link together and form gluten. This network acts like a balloon net, trapping little bubbles of gas. When yeast makes carbon dioxide, those bubbles get caught in the net, making the dough rise like a pillow. That's why baguettes are airy, pizza crusts are stretchy, and pasta stays firm when cooked. Without gluten, bread would be flat like a cracker and pasta would fall apart. Here's the fun fact. Many of the world's longest living cultures, like those in the Mediterranean and the Blue Zone, enjoy traditional breads and grain dishes. Gluten helps make these food possible, especially when they are made from whole grains. Gluten isn't only in bread. You will find it in pizza crusts, noodles, bagels, crackers, cereals, and even some cookies. But gluten can also hide in sneaky places like soups, sauces, gravies, or processed snacks. That's why people who need to avoid gluten must be a label detective, reading ingredients carefully. But remember, gluten doesn't automatically mean bad. Whole grain breads and barley soup are packed with fiber and nutrients that help your gut, heart, and brain. It's the overly processed, sugary, refined gluten food like the donut or the sweet cereals that can work against long-term health. But remember, gluten doesn't automatically mean bad. Whole grain breads and barley soup are packed with fiber and nutrients that help your gut, heart, and brain. It's the overly processed, sugary, refined gluten food like the donut or the sweet cereals that can work against long-term health. Not all gluten foods are the same. Whole grain wheat keeps the bran and germ, which are rich in fiber, B vitamins, and minerals like iron and magnesium. That fiber feeds your gut's good bacteria, helping digestion and lowering risk of heart disease and diabetes, both huge factors in how long we live. But when wheat is refined into white flour, much of that good stuff is stripped away. The result is soft bread and pastries that taste good but spike blood sugar and don't give your body what it needs for the long run. So when it comes to gluten, the key question isn't just is there gluten? It's is this a whole grain or a refined one? Whole grains with gluten can be longevity booster. Refined gluten food, not so much. Some people have a condition called celiac disease. That means their immune system gets confused and treats gluten like an enemy. Instead of just digesting food, their immune system attacks the small intestine, the place where vitamins and nutrients gets absorbed. Over time, this makes it hard for them to stay strong and healthy. For people with celiac, even tiny crumbs of gluten can be harmful. If someone has celiac disease, They may get belly pain, feel bloated, or run to the bathroom a lot. They can also feel super tired, lose weight, or if their kids have trouble growing taller. If someone has these signs, doctors can run blood tests and do a small intestine check to see if celiac is the cause. Now, here's the longevity twist. Undiagnosed celiac equals more risk for bone loss, anemia, and even early aging problem. A wheat allergy is different. It's just like peanut or shellfish allergies. The body reacts quickly with hives, swelling, sneezing, or even trouble breathing. This is not the same as celiac, instead attacking the gut over time. Wheat allergy is a sudden allergic reaction that can be dangerous. Allergies don't usually shorten life if managed carefully, but severe reaction can be life-threatening in the moment. Some people feel better when they avoid gluten, even though they test negative for celiac disease or allergies. This is called non-celiac gluten sensitivity. Doctors are still figuring out why this happens. Sometimes it may not be the gluten at all. It could be food maps, certain carbs in wheat that cause bloating and tummy pain. So gluten sensitivity is real for some, but it's still a mystery scientists are studying. If someone might have celiac, doctors often start with the blood test. If that suggests celiac, the next step can be a look inside the small intestine using tiny camera. For allergies, there are skin or blood tests. For sensitivity, doctors may ask someone to try a gluten-free diet and watch what happens, but that should be done carefully. Don't stop eating gluten before testing for celiac. If you stop, the tests might look normal even if you have celiac. Always talk to your doctor first. Gluten-free became a big trend. Some people think it's a healthy magic bullet, but just because something is gluten-free doesn't make it healthy. A candy bar can be gluten-free and still be full of sugar. When people cut gluten and feel better, it might be because they stop eating lots of processed food, or they're eating more vegetables, or, as we said, they may have been reacting to food maps or another ingredients, not gluten itself. Now, bottom line, most people, gluten is fine. For people with celiac or a true allergy, gluten is harmful and must be avoided. To live longer and stay strong, scientists see patterns in diets from around the world. The food that help most include vegetables, beans, nuts, fish, and whole grains. Whole grains often contain gluten, and they bring real benefits for our gut, heart, and lifespan. Whole grains are special because of their fiber, vitamins, and minerals. Fibers feed the friendly bacteria in our gut, which helps digestion and reduces inflammation. Whole grains also help control blood sugar, lower cholesterol, and protect the heart. All of these add to less risk of diabetes, less heart disease, and more years of healthy living. When we look at places where people live the longest, the Mediterranean diet or the blue zone, whole grains are part of the picture. In Sardinia, people eat barley bread. In Icaria, whole grain bread and lentils. In Okinawa, brown rice. These examples show that whole grains, many with gluten, can fit into diets linked to long, vibrant lives. Not all gluten or gluten-free foods are equal. A bowl of oats, brown rice, or a whole grain barley is full of fiber and nutrients, but a sugar filled with donuts, whether it has gluten or is gluten-free, is still junk food. The benefits come from eating whole, minimally processed grains. That's what helps with better health and longer life. If your body tolerates gluten, focus on quality. Pick whole grains versions of bread, pasta, and cereal. Try whole wheat pasta, barley in soups, or oats for breakfast. Pair grains with vegetables and proteins. This combo helps your body use nutrients better, keeps blood sugar steady, and supports long-term health. If you have celiac disease or gluten sensitivity, don't worry, you can still eat for health and longevity. Many whole grains are naturally gluten-free, like rice, quinoa, millet, buckwheat, and teff. Even oat can be a great choice. Just make sure the label says gluten-free, since oats are often contaminated during processing. Eating these whole gluten-free grains protects your gut, heart, and brain, just like whole grains with gluten. Here's the key tip for living longer. Learn to read food labels. Look for whole grains listed first. That's how you know it's the main ingredient. Short ingredient lists are usually healthier, while long lists full of sugars and chemicals are red flag. And remember, just because a food says gluten-free doesn't mean it's healthy. If it's packed with sugar and fat, it's not a good swap. Labels tells you if your food will support your health span or work against it. Gluten causes inflammation in people with celiac and sometimes in those with allergies. But for most people, gluten does not cause harm or inflammation. Gluten-free food can be healthy, or they can be treats with lots of sugar. Choose whole, naturally gluten-free food for the best health benefits. Kids can eat gluten unless they have a problem. Going gluten-free doesn't automatically make you thinner. What matters is the whole diet. Now, gluten itself isn't the villain. Whole grains help your body age better, but people with medical issues must avoid gluten. So eat mostly whole foods, include whole grains if your body tolerates them, and see a doctor if you feel sick after eating gluten. That's the surest path towards staying healthy and increasing the chance of a longer life. Now that you understand how gluten and whole grain can support longevity, the next step is just as important: learning how to protect your brain and body from burnout. Because even the best diet won't help if stress is silently draining your energy. Watch the burnout video that's in the comment section to find out how to master stress and maximize success.